Hello, for this assignment I decided to create a relatively simple 2D platformer. Right at the beginning you have the basic abilities of moving left and right and jumping. The game features an enemy in the form of a green square that moves left and right. If you walk into him, you'll die. However, if you jump onto him, he will instead die and also play a small sound effect. The game also features an environmental hazard in the form of spikes that if you jump into them, you'll die. There are these platforms that also could count as an obstacle, where if you stand on them for too long, they'll disappear. And then if you stay on this one for too long, you'll fall into a green cloud and also die. However, if I go along here, there's also a horizontally moving platform that will move the player also when he's standing on it. Then over here you can see the collectible item that I created in the form of playing cards. Over here, if you collect a playing card, it will play a sound effect and also update it on the HUD. Then if I go down here and continue this section, it's basically just progressing through the level. Then in this tunnel section you just have to wait for the green guys to go to the left side. If you make it to the end, you're able to collect this hazmat suit, and what the hazmat suit does is that it offers you protection against the green clouds. Then after you've done that, you can move up by using this elevator. You can see there's another playing card down there. Then you have this section, which is pretty challenging because if you make a mistake, you will quickly perish. So yeah, this basically serves as a form of skill check for the player. So then once I go down here, you can see that now if I go into the green gas cloud, I no longer die. So then now that I'm able to go in the green gas clouds, I can now collect this power up, which gives me the ability to double jump. And so now that we have the ability to double jump, this allows us to go to an area up here that we couldn't go to earlier. So this kind of top bit of the level, this is an alternate path that the player also could have taken to end up getting the hazmat suit. Then if you look at this section, it's impossible to get up here if you don't have both a hazmat suit and a double jump upgrade. But then once you have both of them, you can go over here and you can get this mask. If you pick up the mask, it allows you to walk through spikes basically. However, you will still die to green squares. And so once I have the mask, I am able to then go and collect all of the remaining playing cards. So as you can see, there's one up here that it's impossible to get unless you have the mask. So there's one there. There's another one in this S that can be a bit tricky to get to. And then all the way on the very left side of the map there is the final playing card. So then once you get 7 playing cards, you can consider the game beaten. So then, in terms of design decisions that I decided to implement, so right off the bat, the player has 2 choices to make. Either you go downwards or you go upwards, and then both are valid because both of them lead you to this section. Then if you decide to go down here, whilst on this platform, you can see that, oh, there's this boot over here that maybe you can reach. However, the player at that point has likely already died to a green gas cloud, so then they're like, oh, I probably need an item to go through that. And then a similar thing here, this playing card, you can't get it if you don't already have the hazmat suit. So then the only place that the player can go if they don't have any power-ups would be all the way down here. So then once you reach the hazmat suit, the player can infer like, oh, hazmat suit, that must allow me to traverse through the green gas clouds because that's the only way to go. And then once you get the boot and you do a bit more exploring, you realize like, oh, there are these platforms up here that I can now reach. And then if you go here and you get this mask, the interesting thing I did is that you cannot back out. So even if you have the double jump, you can't jump out here. You need to go down this drop down. And then, because the player wouldn't be expecting this, you immediately dropped down into spikes. And that implicitly shows to the player that, oh, now that you have this mask, you can actually survive spikes. So that's a really cool thing that you can do in games, is if you design them well enough, you can explain stuff to the player without needing a tutorial or to write about it. And then in terms of design decisions, there's basically this section that's just supposed to be challenging, and also there are places like the spike here and spikes here, and they're really supposed to catch the player off guard. And yeah, that's basically it for this level. It would be interesting to add on to this in the future. Also, the object platform moving vertical has the most interesting code, where this part controls how the platform moves up and down, and then the rest of these bits of code are basically responsible for checking if the player is standing on the platform, whether or not the player is trying to jump up into the platform, or we also look at the player position, and then if they're a certain distance away from the platform, they're immediately snapped down to the bottom so that you don't periodically fall. And then apart from that, there isn't that much more particularly interesting code. So maybe this, where also the player position is adjusted whilst the player is standing on the horizontal platform. Thank you for listening. See you whenever I see you.